Conditional formatting in Excel can be used to automatically highlight data to emphasize it. And you can highlight data based on certain criteria. For example, the top 10 sales numbers or the items that are below average in profit. So let's look at how to use the conditional formatting. In my data, I have some information about the number of items sold, the profit per item, and total profit and the percent of our total profit. So let's go in and highlight our total profit column. Let's say, for example, we want to see highlighted all of those that are greater than $4,000. I'm going to highlight the data here. Go to my Home tab to Conditional Formatting, and there are lots of different options here. If you look, the Highlight Cells rules has greater than, less than, between, equal to. You can choose different text options, dates, and even duplicate values. So here we're going to use the greater than. We just want to choose greater than 4,000. So it's going to give us this option. I'm going to type 4,000 in here without any special characters, and notice that it already highlights it with this fill. You can go in and choose custom formats if you wish, and choose specific fills, fonts, and borders. So for example, I could choose a bright yellow fill with a red font color, and it will automatically highlight those that meet that criteria. Or I'm going to click on undo there. And what we can do next is look at maybe the total profit for each location that's below our average. Okay, so I've already gotten the average profit at the bottom of the column, which is roughly $3,800. So we want to find those that are below average. So again, we'll highlight the column, go back into Conditional Formatting, and we can go to the option for top and bottom rules. You can see we can choose our top items and our bottom, as well as averages. So we're going to choose the lower than average or below average. And again, we can choose the different font formatting. And here you can see all of these are below the average. The ones that are highlighted are below the $3,800 average. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I could undo that if I didn't want it, but I can also go to Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules, and I don't have anything currently selected. So if I just say the entire worksheet, I can select that one and delete it. Okay, so you could do the same thing with the total profit for the, let's say we wanted to highlight the top 10 locations in terms of profit in those departments. So we'll choose the top 10. Notice you can also choose it to maybe the top 5 if you would like. And again, you can always choose your formatting. So this will highlight the number that you chose, which I chose the top 5. Okay. Now, we'll go in and look at some of the color scales and icon sets. I'm going to go in and delete that one. I don't have to do this individually, but I'm going to, just so that it doesn't get confusing. All right, so let's try some of these data bars. And well, let's hold off on the data bars. Let's look at the color scales. If you use a color scale, you can see that the green, yellow, and red are sort of the highest, the average, and the lowest numbers. So you can see the green here. Oops, the green is including the higher numbers, whereas the sort of orangish is including the sort of middle numbers, and then the darker red is the lowest number. So it's a kind of gradient scale there for the highest to the lowest. The icon sets are similar, so if I chose the sort of stoplights, I think these are very difficult to read, but again, it's the red, yellow, and green options, for the green being the higher numbers, the yellow being the ones in the middle, and the red being the lower. Again, I don't like these necessarily because I think they are a little more difficult to read. Okay, let's look at the percent of profit column. So if I look at the percent of profit, let's go to the data bars. And I'm just going to use a solid fill. In this case, this is a percent of the total profit out of the grand total profit here. So our maximum value in this column is 2%, 2.82%. So what this is doing is giving you sort of like a column chart based on 2.82% being the largest amount. So the 2.82 fills up the entire column, whereas if you're looking at something that's about half of that, so for example about 1.2, 1.6, it's going to be roughly half filled in by the data bar. So you can see as the closer it gets to the 2.82, the more filled that column will be with the data bars. Okay, so let's go in and look at some rules in terms of formulas. So if I wanted to take any of these in the number sold column and say if I sold more than 900 in this column, then I want to highlight my total profit. Okay, so in order to do this, I'm going to go in and get rid of this one just so that it's not confusing. Okay, so I want to see, is this number greater than 900? If it is, I want to highlight the total profit. Okay, so in this case, since we're working with numbers in two columns or cells in two columns, we can't use just the normal options. We want to create a new rule. So I'm going to highlight those to where I want to apply that conditional formatting, which is the profit. I want that to be highlighted. I'm going to go to New Rule, and I'm going to go to Use a Formula to determine which cells to format. Okay, so in this case, and I think I'll pull it right over here. In this case, what I want to do is see if this is greater than 900. So I'm going to use the formula section here and say if it's equal to G6 being greater than or equal to, I'll just use equal to, 900. If that's true, then I want it to format the fill of this column with, let's just say green, and you can put a border. I'm going to try something bright just to see if it will work. Okay, so you can see my formula here. If G6, which is this number sold, if it's greater than or equal to 900, we're going to format the total profit like this. Now the problem is when it copies that down the total profit column, this is absolute. So we need to take the dollar signs out and make G6 a relative reference so it will change as we copy it down as the conditional formatting is applied down the column. So I'm going to click on OK. And here you can see that any of the ones that are 900 or over in this column are highlighted in column K. Okay, so again, if you want to manage your rules, go to Manage Rules, and you can choose the entire worksheet. And if I wanted to change this, I can go to Edit Rule, and I can go back in and format however I would like. Or you can delete the rule as well. You can duplicate it and then edit another rule if you want to make one similar. So you've got lots of options there. Use that conditional formatting in a sparing way so that your spreadsheet doesn't get too busy. You just want to emphasize the data that is more important.